Media focused on a crisis of migrants at the coast, on shore, and in classrooms. A steady and growing increase in their numbers has the attention of the districts, where the mission is to not ask, just support, just educate. Miami-Dade School Superintendent Jose Dotres is with us today via Zoom. Superintendent, always great to see you. I know you can't see us, but we can see you, and we really appreciate your time on this Sunday morning.
Thank you, Glenna. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Thanks. So you and your team, I should say, updated the board on specifically this exact issue today. I watched a little bit of that committee meeting, and your words, you are seeing an impact. Frame that impact for us. What are you seeing?
Sure. And the board, of course, is always concerned about our registration number, and especially anything that is impacting our schools, especially as a result of newcomers now. So our board chair started the conversation and making sure that we were doing what's right for students. As you know, we've dealt with several waves of immigrants into our school district. I myself was one of them years and years and years ago. And so we are seeing an impact, in particular, one particular group of students that are coming from Cuba. We have seen an increase since October. And really what we look at in terms of an impact is, at the end of the day, students that are coming from other countries, foreign born, will be impacting certain schools more than others. So our primary interest is to make sure that we have a pulse on which schools are receiving most of these new students. And incredibly enough, what the trend is showing, what the pattern is showing, is that the arrivals from Cuba are the ones that are populating the most in certain areas. However, not yet in terms of a crisis. We have what we call a student influx model, and there are three prongs to it. The first one is called the trickle in. That means students are trickling in, but they impact different schools differently. Interestingly enough, we're seeing a greater impact on the middle and high school levels. And there is a concentrated number of students that are impacting or are entering our schools in Hialeah. However, they are coming in across the school district.
All right, can I just stop you here, because my mind is coming up with a lot of questions every time you say a sentence, and I don't want to get too far gone before we drill down into some of those. So
sure.
let's just start the number of children in middle and high school, and particularly in Hialeah, sort of makes you think that, well, these people are coming and staying with families and they have sponsors, and so they're going to go to the neighborhoods where a lot of possibly the newer Cuban arrivals and families live. Is that a valid assumption?
That is a valid assumption, but it is not excluded there. We are seeing other schools that are changing even demographically because of new arrivals arriving to those schools as well.
Explain that a little bit. Where and how?
For instance, I visited the other day, I was at Broadmoor. I went to Comstock Elementary, and they are seeing an increase of foreign-born students, Spanish-speaking, English language learners in larger numbers than they have in the past. So there is an adjustment, right, of making sure that these schools that are receiving students that will have English as a second language, they're learning English upon their arrival. We have to make sure that we provide the added supports that those schools might have not had in the past.
Understood. And you know what, we have been reporting in the past couple of weeks, especially, of the number of landings spiking in Monroe County in the Keys. I don't have the numbers. They are requested. I don't have the numbers from Monroe County School District yet. I did get numbers from your district and from Broward School District. And in both, there is a steady uptick month by month in foreign-born student registration. And I'm interested to sort of follow when a group lands in Monroe County in the Keys, they don't apparently stay there. They might gravitate, they might find more affordable housing outside the Keys, so these families are not necessarily staying there.
Absolutely. And they may be coming to us or coming to other districts. And we're seeing that here within our own county. That's why I'm saying that some of these families are seeking resident or housing in the most affordable communities possible. And of course, many of them are residing with their own family members. I mean, that was my case as a child of 5 years old when I came here from Miami. But
Yeah.
of course, we're seeking the support and the assistance of the federal government, since immigration is predominantly an area of responsibilities for them. You know, as you know, we have multiple issues here in our own community, right? Even homelessness, the issue with affordable housing, that now this is part of the mix of the formula as well. But we as a school district, we're ready, we're prepared to support and make sure that the transition of these newcomers are as seamless as possible. We have counselors, we have folks that are very much used to receiving foreign immigrants into our school district. It happens throughout the entire year. But
Yeah.
right now, as I'm saying, since October, we have noticed an uptick, particularly in Cuban-born students that are coming into our schools, middle school and high schools, for whatever reason, impacted more than the elementary levels.
And I imagine after, especially arriving by sea and that harrowing journey, there is some sense of trauma also that they might bring to school with them as well. You mentioned that you're at the first of 3 tiers, the trickle phase. What are the other 2 tiers, and what's the projection there?
So the second phase would be, what we would be typically doing is, if we see a concentrated impact on certain schools in certain areas, that we may have to not necessarily be able to support students in those particular schools, we would probably open up reception centers across our school district, maybe one in the north, one in the center, and one in the south. We're not there yet. We're not there yet because the numbers that we're seeing, the schools are able to handle them. We're just being very attentive to the additional supports that they need. Like you're saying, the social emotional, the counseling, making sure that we link up to our partners in our community that are also providing support for these students. Remember, we have to provide transportation, food service, additional supplies, even mobile devices, right? That we have to equip these students with. And then the third layer, where of course, would be if the influx becomes so significant, then we would have to centralize everything via one site. And of course, that would be in complete partnership with the federal government.
And when we watch, just in the past couple of years, public schools population lowering, actually, because students are either choosing private school or charters or for whatever reason, does that's sort of an upside? It opens room for more? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's one of the reasons. Like when we think about new students coming in, so if you look at the total pot of the change in foreign-born students globally, correct? We've had an increase of approximately 1,400 students last year to this year. However, do remember that we have students that graduate, students that withdraw. So there's an entry-exit portion, but our enrollment after the last 18, 19 years is actually increasing for the very first time for multiple reasons. Not only this, but there is room. We have schools that are now, just because they're receiving larger number of students, does not mean that they cannot hold them. In fact, their schools, we have availability in many schools for additional arrivals. The issue is making sure that we provide the support and that the district has their finger on where the students are going so that we can link up with our partners and be able to make sure that we provide the appropriate supports. This is costly as well, right?
Oh, I knew we'd get to those numbers. All right, so are you, just like in the 30 seconds we have left, I hate to cut you off when it comes to money, but what's the projection? Is this going to be a federal ask?
So we are working on calculating those costs. The last time we did a cost analysis was in 2016, and I believe the cost was between 8.8 million to 11. Right now, that's what we're doing. My team is actually calculating that because it will come down to additional costs from the federal government as a result of the influx that we're receiving. But
Yeah.
my team is currently working on those numbers. And again, this increase since October in particular, right? We've had an increase of about over 2,000 students coming from Cuba, and of course the Venezuelan numbers. And so that's what we're trying to calculate at this point.
Well, Superintendent, you know we will be hounding you probably daily for the next couple of weeks. Sorry, not sorry. Thank you so much. We just so appreciate your time this morning, and we'll talk soon.
It'll always be a collective effort. Thank you so very, very much.
Thanks.